Does God have any place in business? Oh my goodness. Years ago when I was in university, I was at the university bookstore and there was this book that just leapt off of the shelf, and it was basically about spiritual leaders in the context of business. And I just found those two ideas so different, and I had never seen a discussion or heard of a discussion of spirituality within business, and so I bought it right away, even though I was not majoring in business or anything like that. I had just completed my undergrad in music and songwriting, and I was deep into pre-medical studies to get into naturopathic college. And so I took this book home, and I kept coming back to it and kept coming back to it. And basically the premise is that there are spiritual leaders who are the CEOs and founders of companies, because you can do so much good within the context of business. And so this is something I wanted to cover. I feel like I'm kind of coming out because my relationship with God is a very deeply personal one, and decades ago I would not even have been able to say God like with any kind of comfort. It was like I did not grow up religious. I did not grow up with parents who had any kind of practices in spirituality. There was definitely no conversation about that kind of thing at all in my household growing up. And I also had this very spiritual, I guess, awakening moment right around the time of the last days of my mom's life. She was still alive then, but it really, her being in the intensive care unit and basically in the hospital for the last few weeks of her life really got me to dig deeper. Like I could feel that there was something more. I could feel that we were cared for. I could feel that we were protected. I could see the beauty in the drop of rain or dew on a blade of grass, or some pine needles on a pine tree. And so I was at the lake and just I guess taking a break, some self-care time, because we were going back and forth to the hospital. We were taking turns, shifts, kind of being with her, being present with her. So I was on one of my break shifts, I guess, and just being by the lake and really feeling like, oh my goodness, there definitely is something else. This is not the end. You know, our physicality, our physical bodies, this is not all that we are. And I could feel that within every fiber of my being, but I didn't really have language to put to that. I didn't know, I wasn't sure if, I don't know if religion is for me. It never really resonated. I felt like sort of an outsider if I ever went to a church service with some friends, and it just never, I don't know, it never resonated with me. So I felt like, well, I wanted a spiritual community, but I'm not sure if it's going to be found in a church. I did do a little bit of like dabbling, I would like visit church services and a little bit of that kind of thing, but I didn't take it too far. And so I kind of paused that search, but this yearning within me was definitely undeniable. I was also practicing a lot of yoga. I was practicing a lot of Ashtanga yoga at the time. Not that the form makes any difference, but it was such a source of peace for me in such a crazy time. My mom was dying, basically, and so if I wasn't feeding myself, if I wasn't at a yoga class to take care of myself or going on walks to the lake, I was with her at the hospital. And so it was so important for me to be well and present. And I actually had a very interesting experience when I was visiting her. For most people, it was a pretty dark and gloomy place, right? There are lots of people kind of very ill or on their deathbed. And for some reason, during that period, I actually felt a real lightness, like I was connecting with something greater than just the physical, that was for sure. And I could see which doctors, which nurses were the healers. And not that, and I don't mean by healer, like they were fixing things in my mom, but they were the ones who were more present. They were the ones who were helpful to her in whatever way they could be. And then I also recognized that there were people who were not in the spirit of that. And I just found the whole experience fascinating, and those days were very precious to me. I was able to ask my mom all kinds of questions. She'd sort of go in and out of like sleeping, and like she would be sort of half awake, but not like she used to be. But I was still able to ask her questions. She couldn't speak because she had a tube down her throat. So she'd write answers or she would nod. And things like, are you happy with your life? Just big questions that I was curious about. And I'm so grateful that I had the yoga practice, that I could feel that we are all divinely connected. So I didn't really have any good words to put to the feeling of spirit that I had experienced firsthand. So fast forward a number of years, decades later, now I'm much more comfortable with the language God, with the I am, and it's still like I'm still not religious, but I have a faith, and it's this constant daily practice in awareness. And so it's a very personal relationship. So why am I talking about this? Because we're actually talking about, does God belong in business? And so I've actually from afar have admired many business owners where they are actually quite vocal and quite proud of their faith, and they actually build it right into their business model and of being of service. And I don't remember if it was really like, I don't think there was like a definite point where I thought there should have been a separation, but maybe through the school system, where that's, religion, faith, that's a separate thing. And then, you have your work or you have your school, and the two don't really mix, at least how I grew up and was educated. And so a lot of this has come after my formal education, a lot of self-discovery, digging deep. And when this book fell off the shelf in the university bookstore, I just felt like, oh my goodness, so there are so many different ways to practice spirituality. Yes, it's a personal relationship with you and God, or you and the divine, spirit, source, universe, different words essentially pointing and meaning the same thing. And so I like that. Let me know if you feel like God or the divine has an active role and a place in your business, or maybe it's more of a personal relationship that you have. But this is something that I'm exploring, and I'm getting better at finding the words, and I think I'll continue to get better and better with the words. But I just thought I would start the conversation around this, because I believe that we are all spiritual beings having a human experience. And when we serve another person with our gifts, our talents, through our business, we are actually sharing some incredible divine gifts that we've been blessed with. And so I feel like, so it's not the bottom line, the return on the investment, all these business terms. Sure, we can put on that hat and talk in that language, but I think it's so much more than that. And yes, you definitely want to have profits and make sure that the business is running well and you are well supported to deliver and show up and do all the marketing things. But there's an exchange that happens when someone says yes to your offering, whether it's a product or service, and then when you share it and deliver it and send it out into the world or to that person, that there is a moment of joy, there is a moment of uplifting, some great value. And for some of you, you actually offer things that are life changing. So you're offering a transformation. And so when I have the privilege of helping other entrepreneurs, doctors, healers, coaches, practitioners to grow their businesses, this is like our spiritual mission, is to help more people in the best way we know how. It's bringing out the best in us to serve. And there's a lot of discovery, self-discovery, digging in deep with who you are. There's a lot, there's the standard. We have all been born with incredible gifts and talents and potential, and it's up to us to really fully express that, to be creative. And so I just thought I'd start the conversation. What do you think? Do you think that spirituality has a place in business, in your business? Or is it more of a practice that you have sort of in your own personal time? So I did it. I did it. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm coming out of the closet with this one. I feel like there's been a lot in my heart that I think I've been wanting to share and to make sense of and express and consolidate for years now. So it's a journey. I don't know if I will ever figure it out. I don't know if anyone does, but the process is pretty interesting. The process is pretty fascinating and enjoyable. So to be continued. We are going to continue to talk about the sacred. And if this resonates with you and you are a business owner, maybe you're a practitioner, healer, or coach especially, and would like a roadmap when it comes to the sacred, and in particular, I have this roadmap that I'm sharing with people. And what I've learned, which was very interesting, I did some deep study with a beautiful mentor of mine, Bob Proctor, and he taught me a lot about the mind. And it's not just your mental thinking function. His working definition of the mind, is that mind is movement. And I'm still seeing nuances to that as I go, but it's very all-encompassing. So I was at his house one day, and he took a can of soda, and he sort of like made a sound on the can or the glass of the soda. And he said, everything is mind. This soda, it's mind. And I felt like it was one of those moments where I was like, is he giving me a puzzle? Is this like one of those spiritual lessons that I've got to go away and figure out? And so it's much more all-encompassing than just the mental activity that goes on and then is translated through the brain as the electronic switching station. So I share this because I've learned that over 95% of all of our results comes from the mind. And less than 5%, in the context of business, for example, is the strategy. It's sort of like when you understand that we're the sum total of all these programs that have been developed within us since we were super young, 0 to 7 years old, and then reinforced over years and decades, that makes up our programming, and we live and run on this programming. So if you want different results, we don't change the results at the level of the result, or at the level of the symptom, or at the level of the bank account dollars. We've got to go to the root cause. We've got to go to the root cause, which is, okay, let's change the programming. Let's rewire that programming at the level of the mindset. And so I've created this roadmap, which will walk you through in some more depth about what is the mindset, really how important is it in terms of you being a creator of your own reality. We're talking about the divine, so you're actually co-creator of it, and how to change it. So it's not enough to know that you have some mindsets that maybe aren't serving you, but what do you do with it? How do you go about and change it? So there are 3 pillars that I'm going to be covering in the roadmap for you, along with some other amazing goodies in there. It's going to be really great. It's essentially like a little mini course. So if that resonates, you can go and click the link in the description, and you can get free access to it and just enjoy it. It's going to be a really, really useful tool for you if you are wanting to grow your business, be a co-creative partner with the divine, and build a life for yourself and family that you feel aligned with, one that serves a deeper mission within, like why you were called here. Why were you called to serve? How are you meant to serve? These are some big questions, and it's so amazing and so fun to discover that, and then to really, really go do it. Let's be of service. The world is ready, and it's your time. So my name is Serenity Iris. This is super fun. If you like this, if you enjoyed this, go ahead and subscribe, like, comment. I'd love to hear from you, and I will talk to you soon.